The 22-episode network television season is pretty much gone. The sitcom that ran every Thursday, the procedural drama that filled every weeknight, we let them die. And last year, while we watched more television than any generation in history, we couldn't remember any of it. Not the names, not the characters, barely the plots. We finish an entire season on a Saturday afternoon, and by Monday, it's gone. Dissolved into the scroll, replaced by the next trailer, the next drop, the next thing demanding 8 hours and giving nothing back. Meanwhile, a random Office cold open shows up in our feed, one we've seen 30 times, and it hits harder than the entire Prestige season we finished last weekend. A Friends clip with the laugh track stripped out? A Grey's Anatomy scene from 2007? These shows ended years ago, but they still make us feel more than anything that's new. Something broke, and it wasn't the writing. The writing got better, the shows got worse. Someone did that on purpose. We went from network television to cable television to streaming, and at every step, the seasons got shorter and the budgets got bigger. Modern TV looks better than anything that came before it. Bigger budgets and tighter scripts. Cinematic production on every frame. 6 to 8 episodes with zero fat. No filler, no waste. Every scene optimized. Optimized. That's the word that matters. Because TV didn't get better. It got optimized. And optimization removes something we didn't realize we needed until it was already gone. And the thing nobody wants to say out loud is that attachment. Real parasocial attachment. The kind where fictional characters start to feel like people in our lives. It was never about plot density or production value. It was about time. Actual time. Weeks and months of showing up to the same world, the same people, the same rhythms, until the line between watching a show and living alongside it disappears completely. Modern TV eliminated that time, replaced it with efficiency, and efficiency is a terrible way to build a relationship with anything. So remember what it felt like to land on a rerun halfway through? Not choosing it, not searching for it. Just flipping channels on a Wednesday night and hearing a theme song we already knew by heart. Dropping into an episode of Friends 10 minutes in, not knowing which one it was, not needing to. Or catching that 70s show in syndication during summer break. Volume low because it was past midnight and the house was asleep. The basement, the circle. Kelso falling off something. Blue TV glow on the ceiling. We'd seen it before. Didn't matter. We stayed anyway. There was a specific feeling, sitting down with a show we already knew and realizing we didn't have to pay attention in order to enjoy it. We already knew how Eric reacted to things. We already knew Chandler's deflection pattern. We knew these people the way we knew the kid who sat behind us in third period. Not deeply, not completely, but consistently enough that their presence alone was a comfort. We didn't need to remember what happened last episode. We just needed to show up. 22-episode seasons weren't better because they had more content. They were better because they created long-term attachment, the kind that doesn't expire when the credits roll. Modern TV is built for completion, efficiency, binge cycles. Every structural decision points towards one outcome: get the viewer to the end. Old TV was built for presence, familiarity, the slow accumulation of recognition that turns fictional characters into people we'd swear we actually knew. Modern TV maximizes completion. Old TV wasn't trying to maximize anything. It just kept showing up, week after week, until the connection built itself. One creates a show people finish, the other creates a show people carry. We chose finish, called it progress, moved on. Except we keep coming back to the shows we were supposed to have outgrown, because outgrowing something requires replacing it, and nothing in the modern landscape replaces what those shows gave us. The old model is simple enough to describe in one sentence: 22 episodes, weekly, September to May. Whether it was a sitcom or a procedural drama, the structure was the same. Characters who shifted so gradually across seasons that the change only became visible in retrospect. And there was a reason for that length beyond tradition. The real money in network TV wasn't the first run, it was syndication. Selling reruns to local stations and cable networks. But the syndication market had a threshold, roughly 100 episodes. That meant the show needed to survive 4 or 5 seasons at 22 episodes each to try to reach that payday. So the entire system was built to sustain characters and worlds across years, not weeks. The length wasn't bloat, it was the business model demanding depth. The new model needs more explanation, which is already a tell. 6 to 10 episodes, highly serialized. Batch drops or split seasons separated by over a year. Every scene, low-bearing. No tangents, no room, and hundreds of these shows releasing every year. What FX chairman John Landgraf called peak TV when he saw the wave coming. By 2022, the industry was producing 599 scripted series annually. More television than any audience could possibly absorb. So what does all that actually feel like to watch? Characters we can describe, but don't really know. We can summarize what they want, summarize their arc, tell someone what the show is about, but ask us how they'd react to a flat tire, or what they'd order at a restaurant, or what they do on a Sunday when nothing's wrong, and we've got nothing. Modern shows never gave us Sunday. Old TV gave us time to know the characters. New TV gives us reasons to finish them. And finishing someone is not the same as knowing them. The mechanism underneath all of this is almost embarrassingly simple. We spend time with characters. That time becomes familiarity. And familiarity, not plot, not production value, not any of the things the industry optimized for, is what turns a show from content into something closer to company. Psychologists have had a name for this since 1956, when Horton and Wall first described parasocial relationships, one-sided bonds where we start to feel genuine intimacy with someone who doesn't know we exist. The 22-episode season gave that bond time to form, not through dramatic moments, but through repetition and through showing up. Modern TV severed the chain at the first link. It removed the time. Filler is the relationship. We'd be trained to treat the world like an insult. Filler. The episode where nothing happens. The bottle episode. The holiday special. The monster of the week. But think about real life. We don't learn who our friends are during emergencies. We learn who they are at lunch, in the car, in the boring stretch between events when nothing is happening and personality is the only thing on display. Filler is lunch, and modern TV skipped lunch entirely. When a season runs 8 episodes, writers can't spend one on a Tuesday where nothing moves forward. Every scene has to justify itself structurally. The result is a show that functions like a highlight reel, technically impressive, emotionally hollow, because we never saw the footage the highlights were cut from. The parts they cut were the only parts where we fell in love. The gap between time spent and time consumed. A 22-episode season spread across 9 months sits alongside our actual life. It plays out through holidays, through seasons changing, through months of real time. We carry the characters between episodes. We think about them on the drive to work. We mention them in conversations. An 8-episode season consumed in a weekend occupies a different category entirely. The hours might be comparable, but the experience is not. One is a relationship, the other is a transaction. Nobody ever got homesick for a transaction. We simply don't miss the shows we binge. But picture this, not as analysis, but as memory. The camera holds on Dwight's desk. Something is wrong. His stapler is inside a block of Jell-O. Jim is watching from across the room, barely containing it. Dwight looks at the camera. He looks at us, with the exact expression of a man who knows he's been wronged, but can't prove it to anyone who will care. 90 seconds, no plot, no stakes, nothing in the scene will matter next week. And it's the reason millions of people feel like they personally know Dwight Schrute. Same energy. Ross screams pivot while moving a couch up a stairwell. Nothing about that scene advances the plot of Friends. Nothing about it changes any character's trajectory. But 30 seconds of physical comedy tells us everything we need to know about Ross Geller. And that clip has been reposted more times than most modern shows get watched in total. Because we don't bond with characters during the big moments. We bond during these ones. The small, pointless, nothing happens moments that reveal exactly who someone is when the story isn't asking anything of them. Jim's specific cruelty, Dwight's helpless outrage, Pam's quiet smile, that says she saw the whole thing and chose a side without speaking. We didn't learn that from a plot summary, we learned it from being there, hundreds of times, in moments that an 8-episode season would have cut before the first table read. Modern TV didn't just remove filler, it removed the space where caring happens, and then it built an entire measurement system that punishes any show that tries to put it back. This is the part that should make us angry. Netflix and every other platform that followed its model track drop-off metrics by the minute. Every quiet moment we lingered on that became a data point. Every scene where we started to feel something that got flagged as friction. The audience was building a bond. The algorithm called it waste. We are the inefficiency they're optimizing away. So the next season gets tighter, faster, more propulsive, more hooks per episode, more plots per minute. The attachment gets thinner. The viewers remember less. The completion rate looks great on a dashboard. The show vanishes from culture within 6 weeks. Nobody notices. When everything is designed to matter, nothing has room to land. A show in permanent escalation is a show that never lets us settle in, and settling in is the prerequisite for every emotional response that lasts longer than the runtime. The old model let shows be mediocre for stretches. Let them wander. Let them figure out what they were across dozens of episodes. The Office didn't arrive as The Office. It became itself through seasons of uneven experiments and small discoveries. That luxury is gone. Modern shows are expected to arrive fully formed or get cancelled. And fully formed from the start means no room to grow, which means no room for the audience to grow with them. We built a system that produces shows too afraid to breathe, and then we wonder why they feel lifeless. But this shift didn't happen because someone decided shorter seasons made better art. It happened because the money changed direction. Network TV needed us to come back every week for 9 months because advertisers paid for Nielsen ratings, which is eyeballs at a specific time on a specific night. That model rewarded one thing above all else: habit. It created what the industry called appointment television. Make an otherwise boring Tuesday evening feel like something we'd show up for, no matter what. Because the show earned that consistency through months of being reliably present. Streaming needs us not to cancel. That's it. That's the whole goal now. Netflix, Hulu, HBO, Disney+, they all run on the same metric: churn. And the most effective way to prevent churn, you ask? Finish the season, surface another one, repeat until renewal. So instead of one show getting 22 episodes to build loyalty, 4 shows each get 8 episodes and 1 weekend to justify their existence. And every one of those shows is disposable by design. Not because the creators wanted that, because the model requires it. The platform needs us moving to the next thing, not sitting with the last thing. Sitting with something is a churn risk. The result is a viewing experience that feels like being fed but never full. We don't feel 4 8-episode seasons the same way we feel one 22-episode season. One stays with us, the other 4 blur into content, a word that didn't even exist as a description for television until a business model made it accurate. Of course, we already know this. We prove it every night. Every streaming platform spends billions on originals, and across all of them, the most watched content is the same thing: old network shows. Friends, The Office, Grey's Anatomy, shows with hundreds of episodes that we've already seen. We call it nostalgia because it's easier than admitting the real thing, that nothing new has replaced what those shows gave us. And maybe nothing built this way can. We don't rewatch modern shows casually. We put on Friends while we cook, The Office while we fold laundry, Seinfeld when we eat alone and want familiar voices in the room. 60% of viewers now use TV as background presence, and the shows they reach for are almost exclusively the ones built on 22 episodes of repetition and familiarity. We admire The Bear. We respect Severance. We binge these shows in one day, but we can't name a supporting character a month later. We don't put any of them on while we're making dinner. The format doesn't allow it. Those shows demand attention. The old shows offer company, and company is what we're actually looking for most of the time. The cultural half-life of a streaming hit now looks like a viral clip. Squid Game owned every conversation for 3 weeks, then gone. Not because the show was bad, but because the format gave us no time to metabolize it. We swallowed it whole and moved on hungry. We didn't lose better writing, we lost the time it takes to actually know someone. And without that time, attachment is just a feeling that almost happened. There are clips from The Office and Friends and Boy Meets World that have been reposted hundreds of times across every platform and still pull millions of views. Not because the algorithm is pushing old content, because people go looking for it, actively, repeatedly, the same scenes over and over. And the comments all say the same version of the same thing. Man, they don't make shows like this anymore. That sounds like nostalgia. It's actually a diagnosis. Those clips work as standalone moments because the characters were built through so many hours of low-stakes repetition that their dynamics became self-evident. We don't need context. We already know Jim. We already know Chandler. The scene makes sense because the people make sense, and they make sense because we spent years with them, not hours. Pull a random scene from a modern 8-episode drama and it needs a paragraph of content to land. The emotion depends on where we are in the arc. The clip doesn't travel because the show was built for completion, not recognition. Old shows gave us people we recognize anywhere. Modern shows give us plot points that only work in sequence. So we keep framing this as quality versus quantity. Shorter seasons are artistic maturity. 22 episodes is the bloated adolescence television had to outgrow. That framing is a lie the industry tells itself to justify a cost-cutting decision. The 8-episode season wasn't a creative evolution. It was a financial instrument. Streaming platforms needed more shows to fill libraries, more launches to generate press cycles, more reasons to prevent a cancellation click for one more month. The short season is math, not art. Remember that number, 599 scripted series in 2022, the most in history. And we remember fewer of them than we remember from any single season of network TV in 1998. 22 episodes weren't bloated. They were doing something we only recognize now that it's gone. They were giving us time. Not time as content to consume. Time as the raw material of attachment. The slow, boring, unoptimizable process of letting a fictional world become familiar enough to feel like our own. We were never going to fall in love with a show in 8 hours. That was always the math, and nobody checked it. TV didn't get shorter, it got emptier. We filled our libraries with content and starved ourselves of connection. And every night, when we scroll past 1,000 options and land on a show that ended 15 years ago, we prove that what we're actually missing was never the plot. It was the company. We watched more television than any generation in history, and we have never been lonelier in front of a screen. We grew up on these shows. They shaped how we think about friendship, family, humor, heartbreak, and most of us never stopped to ask how they did it. That's what this channel is about. Not nostalgia, mechanism. If that's the kind of thing you want more of, please hit that subscribe button and consider supporting our channel. We'll keep going, and we thank you for watching, and until next time, please take care of yourself.